and you might know him as the creator of Ministry to Children, a great website that I'm sure most of you have used, and some great resources and amazing articles. But he's taking it to the next level now and starting the Kidmin Academy, and he's going to tell us a little bit about that. But also, Tony, I would love for you to kind of just give us some great tips on how we can create some amazing training workshops for ourselves, for our volunteers, because I think it's such an easy thing to do if you do it right.
Well, thanks so much for having me, Michael. I'm really excited to talk with you guys and to hear about what you guys are doing out at Napkin too, so that's great.
Thanks, Tony. Well, okay, so can you give us maybe an idea of what most children's ministries, what they face, what type of training is already out there, and how much the average children's ministry, like what they actually have access to?
Yeah, and that's a great question. That's one of the driving things that kind of led me to this new project, is I kept hearing back from people who use ministrytochildren.com, and they were always asking about training, where they could get training, and they were really digging into the articles we would write and stuff, but it didn't feel like it was really meeting their needs. So I began to ask some questions, and one thing I found out, I ran a survey on the site, and one thing I found out, I asked kind of a simple question, where did you get your training? And 76% of the people who responded to that said they mostly just learned on the job by trial and error. So if 76% of people out there in children's ministry are mostly just learning from trial and error, then there's a lot of opportunity to help those people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Less than half of them had ever been to a conference in person. Less than 15% had ever been to Bible college or seminary to kind of develop their knowledge for ministry. So the story that kept coming back to me was, hey, I'm just in the smaller church, I'm just a volunteer, I'm just part-time, or I'm just a mom who the pastor drafted and now I'm leading children's church, and I want to do a better job, I want to develop my skills, but there's not the budget, and then there's not the opportunity to get away from it. So that's kind of the need that was coming up, and I said, what if we could take some of the best training, take high quality training, kind of put it in a video format online that's there for you 24/7, that you can learn at your own pace, that you can connect with other people, kind of online community, and even give feedback directly to the presenters. And then put it all in a package where it's like $5 a month, and it's something you can share with your team. So if you watch a presentation on Kidmin Academy and you love it, you can say, oh, here, I'm going to email the link to that video, or email the notes to whoever. So that's kind of the heartbeat behind it, is we wanted to spread, myself and some of the others that write for Ministry to Children, we feel really blessed with all that God's given us. I went to seminary and Bible college, and I've had opportunities to go to training and just constantly work on my skills. I've just got a huge library of books and resources, and I have all this. I wish I could spread that out, spread that around and help some other people. So that's kind of the heartbeat of the project.
I love that, because it's just like with the ministry of the gospel, the more people that you can reach, the wider audience that you can reach with the information that we've been blessed with, it's a great goal to have, and I think it's amazing what you're doing. But just to be clear, you do ministry to children, and you're doing this, and this is all online stuff, but you are also a children's pastor.
Yeah, I've been at my church here for 6 years. It's the only church I've ever served, and God's never told me to leave, so we're here plugging away. It's a small church in Indiana. Our kids are settled in the area. We're settled in the area. We love it, but it is kind of a smaller church, and as part of that, there's opportunities for me to try to minister, beyond the church as well. So God's been really good to us, and that's kind of the direction we're headed. So we're excited about it.
I love that. That's great. So I always like to know that people have some experience behind what they're sharing with other people, because it's great to do theory, but it's awesome to have, over 6 years experience plus an education and everything else. So I kind of feel like you're pretty good at what you do, and give some great advice. But I would love for you to share maybe with us, what are some things that I can do or that other people can do to really make a great training workshop? What are some simple things they can do?
Yeah, and that's a great question, because I think one of the frustrations people have with conferences is, even when you go to one of these really well put together conferences, you're invariably going to end up in some dud workshop. Not all workshops are created equal, and some of them just aren't very good. And you hate to stand up and walk out. It's very awkward and all that. So I think it's really important that people who are presenting these workshops do their best. And some things I think of that make for a really good presentation, for a really good workshop, are very similar to the things that are going to make for a very good sermon or a very good children's church lesson. And the first off is that the presenter can understand the needs of the audience. He can understand his students and what they really need. Or he or she, I said he, I meant he or she, but they can also connect with them. So when I come in, if I'm presenting to a group of people, one of the things I like to do is kind of mull around beforehand and get to know people, because not everybody's facing the same struggles. And you can kind of segment that out based on who's attending your workshop. Hey, if you're on this topic, then they must have a problem with that topic. But beyond that, just to get to know and connect with your people in that kind of confined environment. So the other thing I think that makes a good workshop is you're going to walk away with actionable information. So a lot of times, and maybe this is just my background where I sat through years and years of seminary and Bible college, I just thought, I wish half of what I learned could actually do something. I wished all that information, and it's all good in its own way, but a lot of it's just not anything I can do to act on that information. And people who are in ministry and busy don't have the luxury to get trivia out of a workshop. So that it needs to be actionable information. Kind of a third thing I was thinking about for a good workshop would be the character of the presenter, and that he or she is really there to serve the students. And I've been in some workshops that have been like that, and it's just been a tremendous experience. But if you've been to many conferences, you might say, well, I went to this one and this guy's just trying to sell his book, or this guy teaches at the seminary, and part of teaching at the seminary is he's got to go out and do this little Baptist conference for his Baptist convention. So the workshops that I've really benefited from is the teacher is there to serve them. He or she understands what's going on, and then I walk away with 2 or 3 things that I can really take action on right away. So that's kind of my ideas. Now, obviously, it's easy to say that, but when you're putting on a conference, it's a little harder to make it happen. So I have all the respect for you guys and for everybody else who's putting on conferences, because there's no second takes on these things. Unlike our video trainings, it's easy for us to go back and edit a little bit, but so I have all the respect in the world for what you guys are doing.
Well, I think it's one of those things that it takes both and. Not everybody's going to be able to come out to a conference. Like you said, not everybody has the time and or the money, and the more people that we can reach, the better. But I love what you're saying about really serving the people, because I know that every speaker that we invite to Napkin Conference, they have done such a great job. Even just a couple years ago when a lot of them were here, Ryan Frank, Jim Weidman, Sam Luce, they are so personable. I mean, they hang out the whole time. They never eat a meal alone. They're just really good at really meeting people's needs. And I think that is what makes a good conference as well as a good workshop. So I think it applies to both. But at the end of the day, it's just about people. And I love that. But so if we're doing some workshops, though, what are some things that you've found are probably the worst mistakes that people make in workshops? So what are the things to just completely avoid? You can help us so we don't have to learn from experience.
Yeah. I think number one is TMI, too much information. Sometimes, and you're not going to get this with an old pro like Jim Weidman. He knows how to do it, but maybe a newer person who's not presented so much, that their first instinct is to dump everything they possibly know on the topic on these poor people, and it's just too much information, and it's too noisy to actually get much out of it. Maybe another thing, too little interaction. That's kind of the other side of that coin. If you're just dumping information, you're not giving and taking with the audience. The audience is not challenged to think for themselves about that topic, and I think the higher levels of learning always occur through interaction and through reflection. So that kind of bugs me. Let me think of another one. Oh, when you go into a conference and the presenter is not confident, and And maybe because they're trying to they're trying to seem humble, or they're trying to, not be an egomaniac, which we don't like either. But when the presenter is just not confident about what they're saying, it kind of makes me think instantly. And that's one of those 2-second decisions when they start talking. Oh no, this guy's just faking it. He just read a book and he's trying to tell us. And maybe they have all the experience and knowledge in the world, but if it feels like they don't have confidence, it's really hard to buy into what they're saying. And kind of that goes along with that is stories. And everybody you named for Napkin I know is great storytellers, but if you're not able to tell a story in your workshop and connect these statements you're saying this is true, do this, do that. If you're not able to relate that back to a story, well, it's not going to stick, number one, and it's not going to really integrate with their attitude and all the other things that happen with learning. So those are some things I think that just kind of let the air out of the tire for people sometimes.
That makes
even when they
sense.
have great content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could have some great content, but at the end of the day, if you don't deliver it properly, that could be a huge dud. I mean, we're all busy. We all have so little time for continuing education. We need every moment to be valuable, and we need to really be confident that who's speaking to us really knows what they're talking about. And that's so true. Well, I think this has been great, Tony, and I'm so excited for your new website. I want to get on there right now and start checking things out. So how does everybody find your website, and how do they get involved?
Well, it's pretty simple. If you go to kidminacademy.com, that's KIDMIN academy.com, there's a sign-up form on the front. Well, there's a video of me talking on the front page, just kind of introducing and giving some more details. But then there's a big link that says Join Now. And they sign up for that, and they go through the payment registration process, and they're in.
And it's very affordable, right? You were saying it's only like $5 a month or something?
Yeah, we wanted to keep it cheap. And actually, one of the debates I had when doing this is if I could do it without a fee, which my tendency is. Ministry to Children's been around for about 4 years, and we've never charged for anything. And hundreds of thousands of people use it every month. And I thought, man, it would be really great just to put all this out there with no charge. But then the more I kind of explored the economics of that, I was like, well, I want to get presenters, and I want to have them teach their workshops, and some of the technology I was going to need on the back end to make this thing really good. So I said, okay, let's settle on a small fee, something that's small enough that nobody's going to miss. It's like one Happy Meal a month. You can skip lunch. No. You can get the dollar menu instead of the Happy Meal, and you're fine. So affordable like that, but also by having a fee, we're allowing people to invest back into it. So the people who have kind of signed up early, who are kind of taking a chance on it, these people are investing in the trainings that we're going to have on there. And once we have 200 or 300 trainings on there, it's those people and their fees that are really going to make that happen. So we're excited about the future of it. The response has been great. Almost 200 or 300, getting close to 300 people have signed up already. So we're excited about where it's going to go.
Wow, I love it. Well, you're doing some great things there in Indiana, and I'm just excited to get to know you a little better. This is kind of our first conversation, and I've enjoyed it immensely. I hope there will be many more to come, and it's just been a pleasure to speak with you.
Well, great. Thanks so much, and looking forward to you guys do out there in Napkin.
All right, thanks, Tony.
February 23rd and 24th, 2012 is Napkin, a children and family pastors and leaders conference. This is an event for your whole team that's not just about ideas, but making ideas happen. Speakers include Jim Weidman, Associate Pastor at World Christian Church and pioneer of children's ministry. Benny Perez, author, church planner, and lead pastor of the church at South Las Vegas. Dave and Becky Wakerly, children's pastors at Hillsong Sydney. Michael Rosales, Napkin Conference Director and children's pastor at the church at South Las Vegas. Ryan Frank, Executive Director of Kids Matter and Awana, as well as Editor-in-Chief of K Magazine. And Sam Luce, avid blogger and children's pastor of Redeemer Church in Utica, New York. Registration is going on right now, so register your team today at thenapkinconference.com. Napkin Conference, taking your ideas off the napkin and into reality.